Now, before you talk about more of X-Men Apocalypse, since we have been talking about Psylocke so much, we're going to segue now to my interview with her from a few months ago.
Jubilee. You really keep forgetting Jubilee. You said Psylocke.
I did. She was on.
I was like, when'd you talk to Olivia Munn?
Sorry about that. Jubilee actress Lana Condor a few months ago, and she sat right here, people, and we spoke at length about what she could say about the movie, but there were definitely scenes that she shot that were cut. She talks to me about her powers, what they would look like. She talked to me about sort of, oh yeah, we'll get my backstory. She talked about going to the mall scene, none of which is in the movie. And then also she kind of talks about which character she bonded with the most and just sort of her experience. Now Lana Condor has not really done much of anything before this. This really is her big break. She's very young, and you'll see from watching the interview that this is a person who's not yet really been kind of media trained, knows the exact same sort of soundbite. So it's kind of refreshing just to get this young person coming up with this big role, talking about it, and who's not jaded by the industry. So hopefully she takes getting kind of cut from a good chunk of her role getting cut from the movie in stride, and maybe there'll be some stuff on the Blu-ray or DVD. Bryan Singer said there's not going to be like a rogue cut of this.
But he did say that those deleted scenes, the Jubilee stuff, would end up on there. And after all the hype around the mall, I want to see it as the short film it will end up being.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to play for you now highlights of my interview with Lana Condor, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about more of the movie. So stay tuned and watch me talk to Lana Condor, the actress who plays Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse. But Jubilee is a character who is, given how long X-Men's been around, it sounds weird to say a character that's been around for over 20 years is relatively new to the mythos, but given that it's a 50-something-year-old franchise now, she's relatively new. Yeah. She is then kind of representing this new sort of era of X-Men in the movie, along with younger versions of characters we've already seen. Tell us a little bit about her role in the team and sort of which maybe characters she bonds with the most and that kind of thing.
So as you know, they're bringing in kind of like a younger mutant generation thing. So she hangs out with, through the majority of the film, Jean Grey, Scott, and Nightcrawler. Yeah. So we're all like pretty good friends. I've been at the mansion the longest out of them, which is funny because she's new to the thing. But and I guess what I can tell you is that we are all very close and we spend a lot of time together. And I think her role in terms of in that friend group is she's very confident in kind of her, I would say kind of her powers and who she is. And just like in the comics, I don't think she's ever had many insecurities. She's kind of like a badass and that's just who she is. And but she offers good comedic little intervals, and she's super, super smart, so. Yeah. Duh.
Now,
and she's closest to Jean Grey, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she, in the comics, I didn't, how much of the movie will get into this, but in the comics, she's an orphan, her parents were murdered, and she was a mall rat.
Comics.
You did?
Boom.
Did you have any particular favorites of those?
I can't remember any of the names, but there's one, I think it's super, super classic, but it's one where she's just spends all of her time running away from the policemen in the mall, and then she jumps through a portal wall thing, and then she's with Wolverine and the weird things.
Yeah. Are we going to get any of that kind of backstory in the movie? Do we see her or know about her being a mall rat or an orphan, anything like that?
Yeah. I would say so, yeah.
Okay. Now, the powers that she has are visually, they're very fun. Did they give you any sense of what it would look like, or did you just have to go there and do your thing? And, you know, did it ever feel kind of silly to, you know, trying to do all that? Or did you know, like, okay, when you do this, it's going to look like that? Like, how much did they actually guide you in?
I think I never felt really silly because everyone else was, they were all, you know, like, but going into it, I just figured like, okay, I have a certain way that I'm going to do it, but visually, I haven't seen it yet at all, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it's like, but what someone, one of the producers did say was, it's going to look more like in Days of Future Past when Kitty Pryde is like holding Wolverine like this when he's like on his thing. It's going to look more like that power that's kind of streaming from her hands. But we'll see. It was kind of cool. They strapped kind of like wires and then LED lights to the palms of my hands, but like every time that it would go, it would shock me. But I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to seem like, oh my God, like a diva, you're hurting me. But it was like shocking, like actually.
So it's like when you go to the restaurant, your table's ready, they basically like strap those things to your hand and it starts vibrating and lighting up, like basically like that? Okay.
But more like sharp pain.
Wow.
Yeah.
You might that might be an OSHA violation right there. I don't know. So yeah, tell us about working with them, like with Sophie and Ty. And now, did you also get many scenes with Storm, stuff like that? Alexandra Shipp's character.
Love her, by the way. So going into like my first day of work, I was super, super nervous because I had only met like Sophie, Ty, and Cody. Yeah, the first day of all of the shooting of X-Men, I was working. I was like freaking out, oh my gosh. And I had only met them one day before actually starting working. So it was like kind of like you had to bond really, really quickly. And it was really, really amazing and I learned so much from watching them work because they are my peers and we're around the same age. So it's really cool to see such successful young people and like kind of like their tricks of the trade and stuff like that. So it was really awesome, and it was easy to work with them because they're so good.
So it's like your graduate school then, basically, is doing this movie. You get to,
It was really awesome, and then I don't know how it's gonna look in the movie, but I didn't really work at all with Storm.
Oh, okay.
But then again, I think when we shot it, it was like in the beginning of the movie process, they had like kind of. We took all the good guys' takes in the beginning and towards the latter end of the movie.
Okay. So you could technically be in a scene with her, but you never met.
It's so crazy. And the script is like constant, at least what I felt was it was constantly changing and like all this stuff was going on. So at the end of the day, like I'm sitting here trying to pretend like I know a lot about what's going to happen in X-Men Apocalypse, but really I'm like, oh no, things can change in like this. So.
Well, now this is, you know, they're bringing in these fresh faces now for a new iteration of X-Men. If there was a follow-up, and I'm sure there will be because these movies print money, like, you know, what would you like to see happen with Jubilee in a future iteration of X-Men?
I think it'd be really cool if she went into her vampire stage. I think that would be really cool. But I think just in terms of the little things, I would love for her to have a little bit more of a, if I was to be so blessed to be in another one, a little bit more of a character arc, like a meatier character arc. Okay. But you know, it is an ensemble cast, and there's like, well, I don't know, 17 of us, and so the movie's like how long? Maybe 2 hours, and you have to fit everyone in. So
yeah, it's a hell of a juggling act. You know, it's just.
Oh my gosh.
Was there a particular kind of day, or well, you kind of spoke to this a little bit, but what was the moment where you're on set and you're like, oh my God, I'm part of a legacy now. You're part of the X-Men universe, like for good. Like when you're 60 years old, somebody will be, oh my God, you're Jubilee. Like somebody will have discovered that. At what point in making the movie did you really realize like I am part of this bigger thing here? This is huge.
Ooh, I'm still realizing that.
It'll hit you at the premiere, basically?
It'll probably
Yeah.
hit me once I see it. But I think, what's a specific day? I don't know exactly what it's called, but we take like individual kind of power photos, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Where you go and then like you do your power and
Yeah,
then
for the posters and all that stuff.
stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And I think that was a really eye-opening, pivotal day for me because I realized like, oh, like people are gonna see this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness.
I can't screw around. This is for real.
and everyone was dressed up, and everyone was. It was very cool, and I think I started realizing, oh well, now they're going to use images for promo and for stuff like that. So that means I'm actually.
You're suddenly going to be walking around Target one day. You're going to see you.
So it's so crazy, and then
you getting an action figure? Do you know?
I hope so. They don't really tell us anything. I don't think they tell the actors really anything.
Right.
So we don't accidentally blab it out, which I think is a good thing. But yeah, that would be really cool and really bizarre. But I think also another moment where it really hit me was at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Because we didn't actually 100% know that we were going to Comic-Con until maybe like a week in advance, because it was supposed to be a surprise.
Right.
But then, like going on, they hired like a private jet, and so the whole cast was in a jet, and that to me was so crazy because I've never even flown first class before, and then there I am in this private jet with everyone, and I'm sitting there like, what is happening?
What was it like working with Jennifer Lawrence?
Amazing, and because I'm a huge fan of hers, and you know I've watched all of her stuff, so it was very kind of, I don't know, I was a little starstruck. Yeah. But she will not break character ever.
Wow.
Ever.
That's a good J-Law, by the way, you just did. Yeah. Wow.
She'll like.
So she's intense for the whole thing?
But it's like
intense.
Yeah, but like right before she could be like la, 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 petting her dog or something like that, and then it's like. Poof, and then it's like, what?
Where do you go?
It's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, working with Oscar Isaac and stuff, I've met him and he's a cool dude, but I bet he's probably pretty intense too, especially with a character like
Everyone's pretty intense.
Yeah.
He is amazing. I think he's perfect for Apocalypse. And it was interesting because when I watched Star Wars, the new Star Wars that came out, and he was in it, and he plays such like so far from different characters. Yeah. Because he plays this awesome, like super charismatic, kind of funny pilot, and then all of a sudden he's like this big, great person. But he's amazing and really intense, and I learned so much from everyone there.
So yeah, McAvoy and Fassbender too. They've got this sort of real chemistry now, doing these movies as Professor X and Magneto. What does Jubilee sort of think of the apocalypse and the Horsemen and the sort of threat that they pose? Is she, this is, it's the end of the world, so she must be.
It's really, really scary. Yeah. And Jubilee, she, as confident as she is still only 16. Yeah. So I think when the threat of the end of the world lands on like a 16-year-old girl's shoulder, it can be pretty intense.
Had she, you said that she's been in the mansion for a long time. Has she actually been suiting up, going out on missions, or is this like her first time, like actually seeing combat?
I think this is her first time, really, kind of just seeing it and being involved with it. But I would say that she spent a lot of her time just learning in the mansion prior to.
That's kind of a bummer, though. Think about it. You're a mutant, you have powers, and you're like, I still got to go to school, though. You still got to pass your math test. It's like, It kind of undercuts the whole thrill of being a mutant, where you're like, oh, I still got to get my degree. Okay.
Yeah. But I guess it does kind of like, what Professor X wants is, he wants equality and to be accepted into society like a regular, normal person. So I think in that sense, like regular, normal kids go to school. So we should go to school too.